Emotional moment for us today because almost exactly 21 years ago we had the first Goa Heritage Festival in the Kampal neighborhood. So first of all, I think we owe a big thank you to the Kampal residents who welcomed us back to their neighborhood, and I can say for the next 5 days, our neighborhood. We've literally taken over and they welcomed us with open arms. Let me take 2 minutes to tell you a little bit about the Goa Heritage Action Group. We started in October 2000 with the listing of Panjim. At that time, the government was very conducive to supporting heritage. Things are different now, but we are optimistic always, and we hope that things will change. And we have Poonam here, who's done a listing and a review of the Panjim city, all the heritage properties and sites in the city. The book is available at our desk just outside this venue. Let me also welcome Ralph D'Souza, who is our past chairperson. And how did this festival happen? After the first Goa Heritage Festival, we had two other Goa Heritage Festivals. And after that, we had the Fontainish Festival of the Arts, a series of 5 festivals where we showcased art in people's houses in the heritage neighborhood of Fontainish on the other side of Panjim. And festivals is not the only thing we do. There's hardcore activism also. We have about 100 members. And the way we function is very, very simple. It's a simple template. If you are keen on doing something for Goa's heritage, you join us, you use our platform, our banner to do what you want to do. So we don't dictate, we don't have a core team, we do have an executive committee, but we don't tell you what to do. You bring a project to us and we give you the support you need. That is how we function for the last 22 years. How this festival happened after so long is because Carlos, who's the second generation, remembered. Carlos, take a bow. Second generation GHAG child, I would say. So is Saloni, where is she? Okay. Again, another second generation. They came to us and they said that what we remember the most in our growing up years were the festivals that GHAG used to hold. And can we do it again? So Carlos must have been, 12 years old when he remembers, and his sister Carla as well. And so we decided that let's go back to Kampal where we started, where it all began. Now I'm going to welcome formally Bhai Damodar Mauzo, who's going to inaugurate and open this festival. Everybody knows Bhai. He's a Konkani writer, Gyanpith Award winner, and a huge mentor of the Goa Heritage Action Group, and me personally as a writer, and at that time, 27 years ago, a newcomer to Goa. So welcome, Bhai. Please, I'll invite Bhai now to address us at the inaugural speech.
पहिली सुवातेर आयचे हे हेरिटेज फेस्टिवल इनॉग्रेट जाले म्हणून हांव डिक्लेअर करता. आनी म्हाका खबर ना हांव कोंकणीन उलयल्यार कितले लोकांक बरी समजतले, पूण आमी गोंया आसात आनी सदांच म्हाका गोंयकारां मुखार कोंकणी सोडून दुसरे भाशेंत उलयतना मातशें काळजांत अशें जाता, पूण ताका उपाय ना. हांव जाणा there are guests who have come from outside especially for this festival, and I can't thrust upon them my language when they are our invitees. But at the same time, म्हाका दिसता हांव सुरवातीक हांव कोंकणींतल्यानच सांगता. First of all, I'm happy that I'm invited. I feel honored that I'm invited to this festival, to this honors of inauguration of this festival. म्हाका जेन्ना हांगा आपयलो फेस्टिवलाक तेन्ना कांय जाणांनी जालें अरे हें कॅन्सल बी जालें मेळ्ळां रे म्हणून. बट आय वॉज शुअर, आय हॅव नो apprehensions that in any case this independent heritage group will not postpone or cancel this event at the last moment. आता आम्ही अनुभव घेतला, we have our own experience. I know festivals, now we have learned that festivals can be, after spending lakhs of rupees, public money of course, after spending lakhs of rupees, someone, for somebody's whims, they can cancel or postpone an event of the stature of Didi Kusumbi Festival of Ideas. I am sure this will not repeat again in Goa. And to start with, Heritage Festival has begun with a bang. I was not that I was expecting a podium here, but I may find it difficult to hold this in hand and talk to you. I shall read out only because if I will say it, but I'll read out because otherwise I may go astray and then take longer time. So it's best to read out so that I can be precise in my speech. परतून एक फावट हेरिटेज फेस्टिवल इनॉग्रेट जालें, हाजी म्हाका खोस जाता आनी म्हाका दिसता आमी खबर आसा, आय डोंट नो एवरीबडी नोस इट, आमी कोंकणीत हेरिटेज म्हळ्यार दायज, आमचें दायज आमी सांबाळून दवरपा खातीर आमी वावरूंकच जाय आनी हो हेरिटेज ग्रूप त्या नदरेन वावर करता, हाजे खातीर हांव खोस प्रगटायतां. आनी with these few words of opening, I'll switch over to my speech. Of course, this is not the same speech which I was to deliver at this festival, BDK festival, but I'll stick to many points I would have liked to speak then. But I am sure with your open minds, you will understand what I mean. No, it's okay. Yeah. आमी दायज म्हणटात तेन्ना दायजात खुबश्यो गजाली येतात. सो आमी सैमा विशीं उलयतात, सैमाच्या डायवर्सिटी विशीं उलयतात, and because we are discussing all the things which are tangible or intangible about our nature and its diversity, so let me speak about diversity that brings about unity, which probably the people at the hem, they fail to understand what is the meaning of this. Because diversity, there is also unity in diversity, which was a phrase made popular by the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Well, let us take their own symbol, which is lotus. Lotus has so many petals, yet lotus is one. So this unity in diversity has to be celebrated, and that is why I really, because heritage has all these facets of diversity. So as I have mentioned diversity, I would like to talk about the multilinguality of Goa, which the topic of my lecture then was also the story of multilingual Goa. So let me stick to the same topic as such, about, as I talked to you about the multilingualism that prevailed and is prevailing in Goa. Friends, when I stand before an audience, I always feel a bit embarrassed and restless, particularly when I speak in any language other than Konkani. But Makugda Sata, the father of Abba de Faria Janna Sarmao Sangpa Ubra in Lisbon, then his father noticed that this man is restless and he has to be put in place. So Tani Bawala Mallan Tak Sangle, Katar Re Bhaji. So I am going to Katar Bhaji Ata, and I hope you understand. Friends, as I mentioned about as I was talking about Abba de Faria, let me mention of his fluency in many languages. Let me start with the topic with giving an example of Abba de Faria. He knew many languages including Konkani. Besides Konkani, he knew Portuguese, Spanish, French, Latin, and who knows how many more. This multilinguality may not be attributed to Abadi Faria alone. We have an example of the 19th century Goan parliamentarian Francisco Luis Goan. No Goan will miss him. He is right here in front of this Surikeran. And I feel very proud when I mention, every time I mention him. Francisco Luis Gomes who had guts to speak praises of India in the Portuguese parliament in Lisbon. He knew several Indian and European languages. Besides, he also had he had knowledge of many other disciplines. Like he was a leading economist, and he had friends like Mills that time, and he was known for his brilliance. Multilinguality is in the blood of Goans, because he knew so many languages besides so many other disciplines also. Even at the risk of being charged that I am trying to attribute all the good virtues and features of knowledge to Goa and Goans, I state that multilinguality has been a nature's gift to Goa. The very son of this soil, Didi Kosambi, in whose name the festival was to be held, and father of Acharya Dharmananda Kosambi, were polymaths in their own right. Dharmanandji knew so many languages that it may be hard to enumerate. Konkani was his mother tongue. Marathi he learnt in school. Portuguese was compulsory in Goa, so he knew it. When he set out of Goa to the north in quest of knowledge, he had to learn Hindi. Sanskrit he considered as a repository of knowledge and spent nearly 4 years in Pune and then Varanasi as he mastered it. He became the sole known scholar of Pali language during his time. Side by side, he learned Ardhamagadi to acquire better knowledge of the Buddhist philosophy. As he traveled in his pursuit, he kept on learning different languages like Bangla, Nepali, Ceylonese, Burmese, all these languages. He was invited to Harvard University to teach Sanskrit, Ardhamagadi and Pali. Later, he taught at Leningrad University, and to learn different facets of Marxism, to master the philosophy of Marxism, he learned Russian. His proficiency in English and Russian can be judged from the factors above. His son, Professor Damodar Kosambi, followed his father's footsteps and knew many languages, including German. He spent many years in Germany. Just a small digression here. My friend Chandrakant Keni, no more now, but I recollect one of the episodes he told me. And you know, Chandrakant Keni was a journalist, and prior to Goa's liberation, he moved in Delhi and Mumbai and Pune. And he told me that Didi Kosambi always felt nostalgic about Konkani. His wife was a Marathi, and he spoke to her in Marathi. He was living in Marathi, ambience was Marathi. But he longed to speak Konkani to somebody. So whenever he met some Goan in the streets, whether in Delhi or in Pune or Mumbai, he would drag him to his house, talk to him, what word Konkani urita do. And Chandrakant Keni added that Damodar Kosambi had a dog, and to whom he would talk very fondly in Konkani. Well, how true this is, I am not sure, but though I would like to believe it. To substantiate my statement about multilingual Goa, I would like to make a mention of my senior polymath friend, who is no more with us now, Dr. Vijay Pereira. Probably everybody has known him and know about him. A professor of theology. He, in the States of course, he knew to read and write Konkani, Marathi, Sanskrit, Hindi, Portuguese, English, and breathless. English, Latin, Spanish, etc. And what a command over Sanskrit he had. I have seen him in discourse with a Sanskrit Pandit. And besides, I know how glued he would remain as he intently listened to discourses in Sanskrit that would be broadcast or telecast. I was amazed the way he could recite national anthems of at least a dozen countries. I have heard with my own ears, and I am proud of it. I felt proud of him. Shanayan Goan is yet another Goan who mastered a number of languages. To prove that Konkani is an independent language, and this was precisely why he learned other languages. To prove that Konkani is an independent language, he studied Sanskrit, Prakrit, Marathi, Hindi, Urdu, Bangla, and he quotes them. He is giving examples of all these languages. And then Gujarati and many other languages besides English, Portuguese, French, Spanish, etc. The trend, though on decline today, can be seen prevailing even today in some places. We have a fine example of multilinguality of the 13th century Saint Namdev. I repeat this, but every time I talk about Konkani, I give this example. Sant Namdev is known for his multilinguality acquired during his travels across the length and breadth of this country, and had most likely come down to this part of the country too. You probably know that even Namdev was in Punjab, and in Punjab, he wrote in Punjabi, so much so that many people that thought that what he's quoting or what he's singing is from Granth Sahib. When he come down to this part of country also, he wrote a Goan. Goan is another form of poetry very popular in Marathi. He wrote a Goan with an anecdote attributed to Lord Krishna, wherein he hides the clothes of the milkmaids who were bathing in a river. Probably most of you are aware of this episode, of this story that we find in mythology. The poem has 5 maids who speak in 5 languages. Each begs of Krishna to return her clothes. Let me read the entire poem of your perusal. And thank you, Johnson. Johnson is here. Please be seated. And let me continue with nice talk. Gaudani Thakavilya. This Gaudan is very significant, particularly from Konkani point of view. And you know, probably Sant Namdev is a 14th century poet. Gaudani Thakavilya. I'm just repeating this, not in entirety, but in precisely in few sentences. Gaudani Thakavilya ek sangatine, Marathi Kandadiya ek Musalmani, Konkani Gujarani. Gujarani is Gujarati. Asha Pachi Zani Gaudani Thakavilya. And then the Kannadi starts pleading in Kannada. Ladoba Govinda, Niravani Ajan. I won't read all. But then again the Musalmani was probably speaking Khadi Boli then. We don't know whether we can't tell it was Urdu, it was Hindustani anyway. And then comes the turn of Marathi. And the Marathi Gaudan, the milkmaid, pleads him with these words, Devaki Nandana, tu ek Shripati, Ugadi Hivachi tuza Vinamu Kiti, Paya Parte ba mi ete kakurati, Maji Sadi de ge Nakache Moti. And then the turn of a Konkani maid. Pauga datara, tu nanda to jiro, maka farkodi, mi himan melo, Gemazo Guerzo Kuito, Deva Paya Podlo. And then comes the turn of Gujarati. I'm repeating this again. The very fact that Sant Namdev, he spoke of Konkani and Marathi independently, separately, which itself proves that Konkani was a language taken as an independent language, independent of Marathi. I'm not because I'm I'm an antagonist of any one language of that way, but then please understand what I meant to say. and our poet Bakibab Borkar always said that this Sant Namdev is the first Konkani known poet, because we don't know anybody else had any other contribution to Konkani prior to that. Let me look back for a while. Right from the medieval age, most of the Indians, including Goans, have been bilingual. Their bilingualism then was inter-Indian. That is, they knew another Indian language besides their own mother tongue. This bilingualism was necessitated by geopolitical needs, barter trade, marital relations, or religious discourses. However, of late the trend is changing. Most Indians, not sparing Goans, are bilingual, but their bilingualism is extra-Indian, which means the people speak English beside their own mother tongue. Because of this colonial imposition over a long period, then our master's language has become the second language of expression, rather communication. Of course, there is nothing wrong in it. Rather, it is an added feather in our cap. It has enriched our linguistic culture. Yet, I feel sorry to state that 61 years back, when Goa was liberated in 1961, the then prevailing dominant language, Portuguese, the language of the administration, was simply renounced overnight. That is the saddest page of Goa's linguistic history, in my opinion. In 1961, when Goa was liberated, we had a linguistic culture that promoted multilingualism. Shunning aside their restrictive language policy of the 17th century, you are probably aware that in 1684, the Portuguese had, by passing a decree, had banned the use of Konkani language even in speech, leave aside other aspects. The Portuguese now had allowed the languages to coexist. After Portugal became a republic, this change had happened. Though the censorship was in vogue, the education in Marathi, Portuguese, French, and English was carried on without any problem. Even at the seminaries, the languages like French, English, Marathi, Portuguese, and Latin were taught. That is besides the reason after liberation of Goa, most of the priests were aware of the linguistic scenario in the rest of the country. Those Goans who left the shores of Goa to distant East African countries or Mozambique or greener pastures learned the languages of the soil they worked on. And this is not the only thing. I can give an example of my own friend, translator friend Xavier Kota, who lived in Africa, and today, even today, he can speak fluently Kiswahili besides Portuguese, English, and other languages. In the 16th and 17th century, the exodus of Goans, first out of fear of religious conversions, and later for the scare of unkind ecclesiastical law of Inquisition, forced our people to seek refuge in the states of Kerala or Karnataka or Maharashtra. All these people in diaspora adopted the language of the soil. That is, those in Mangalore or in other parts of Karnataka learned Kannada, and those who settled in Kerala adopted Malayalam for their day-to-day business. And this is true of even the migrants who come to Goa. They pick up the language of the soil. It is necessary to meet their day-to-day needs. However, these Goans retained Konkani as their mother tongue, not only to communicate amongst themselves, but also for the literary pursuit. Prompted by the process of integration that has started of late, wherein the writers of Karnataka and Kerala are intermingling, exchanges are happening, literary exchanges are happening. Our poet laureate Dr. Manohar Sardesai, I remember how fondly he said, he made a very significant statement which I would like to quote. And I would like to quote in Konkani. He said, "एका काळार कोंकणीच्या इतिहासान भूगोल घडयलो. आज कोंकणीचो भूगोल आमचो इतिहास घडयता." And I'll just, for your information, there was a time when our history created our geography because of the diasporic Konkani people. And today, our geography is creating our history. Let us not cherish the notion that we Goans are far different and superior from the rest of our Indian brethren. Yes, we stand out on many counts. We have the highest per capita income, per capita vehicle holdings, or our literacy rate is higher than many other states of India. Population growth is the lowest in Goa. We are far more westernized than many other parts of this country. At least we prefer to believe that. And as I said above, we are more multilingual than many. However, I am afraid today on this last count, we are faltering. Most of us take pride in saying that our mother tongue is Konkani, but how many actually strive towards promoting it? Recently, I visited a friend of mine who had worked hard to help Konkani Project Awas. That time he was living in Arab countries, only to find that his grandchildren did not know ABCD of Konkani. How sad. I remember yet another instance about one strong protagonist of Marathi who had returned to Goa after spending most of his years in Mumbai. Whenever in public, not that he did not know Konkani, but whenever in public, he would invariably talk to all in Marathi. One day, when I saw him talking to his granddaughter in English, I questioned him if his protagonism was only against Konkani. I am tempted to share yet another incident. And shall I tell in Konkani? Probably you will understand it better. म्हगेलो एक भाव कृष्णा म्हणटा तो भावजो तो काम करतालो पुण्यात. ही वर्क इन पुणे एज एन इंजिनियर आनी थंयच कांय वर्सां रावलो. He had a girl was born, daughter was born to him when he was in Pune. He made it a point to come and visit Goan Kuldiver, his family deity, every year or every 2 years. एक दीस त्या 4 वर्सांच्या भुरग्याक घेवन तो देवळांत गेलो and he requested the priest to pray to God because the priest is always an intermediary. So तांणी सांगलें ताका मातशें देवाक सांग आमकां बेसांव दी बी म्हणून. So the priest he wanted him priest to invoke blessings of the deity. The priest started praying for his family beings in being Marathi. त्या देवळांत तो भट जो आशिल्लो तो सदांच देवा कडेन उलयतना मराठी उलयतालो आनी लोकां कडेन कोंकणी उलयतालो. So he started praying the God, and that was the practice there. That gave rise to an embarrassing moment when the young daughter loudly asked her parents, "Baba, oh Dev Punyacho, is this lady from Pune?" So you see, sometimes innocence plays a major role. We all know that though Konkani is the de jure official language of Goa, de facto English is occupying that position. In the past, though the Portuguese passed the decree in 1684, Konkani survived the threat of extinction and continued to remain the lingua franca. It is said that languages are a repository of cultures. Yes, culture is the sum total of many factors like traditions, clothings, cuisines, folk practices, systems and structures. But according to linguistic scholars, region's language is a major component of any region's culture. What makes the human race different from other animals is language, the kind of language that we speak. You may say that animals do have their language. Yes, they do. A dog can bark and tell you that some stranger has come or that he is hungry. It can make peculiar sounds to tell you that he loves you. But he can't tell you that, look, Bhai was to deliver a lecture at Giri Kosambi, but because school children have exams, it was postponed. Or many other things. They can't say that. I have seen how our language is changing. एका काळार आमी चुकल्यार हांव चुकलो हांव म्हणटाले आतां सॉरी म्हणटात एका काळार आमकां जे घोस्ताक वताले ते आतां लायक जाता सो दीज आर सम this mixed code language is a process affecting the spoken language everywhere, not in Goa and Konkani only, in other parts of India also. Or of late, they write also in terms of emojis. So many expressions can be condensed and put in an emoji. But I'm not bothered about such minor changes because it happens. आम्ही जेन्ना न्हंयत देंवतात when we get down in a river for a bath, the water that when we get down in is not the same when we get out of water. Water keeps flowing. So same thing with the languages. The time is come to realize that the threat to Konkani is from within. We do not, and we are always tempted or to put a blame either on government or some other external factors. We do not realize that by adopting Hindi or English, we are inviting monolingualism or unilingualism. This is certainly not in the interest of our cultural fitness. If allowed to continue, our struggle for identity will be rendered meaningless. How many days we have spent during the Konkani Prajaso Awas demanding the official language status to Konkani, we spent 555 in the streets. It will be rendered meaningless. We need to understand the ongoing corporate agenda to bring homogeneity in culture. It is for their benefit, to their advantage. I come across many people from other parts of India who have chosen to live in Goa, claiming that it is enough to know English in Goa. And म्हाका तुमकां उगडास आसतना माधवी सरदेसाय, unfortunately we lost her very early. पण माधवी सरदेसायन म्हाका एक खबर सांगिल्ली. There was one bureaucrat lady, IAS officer, who came to Goa, and she was experiencing transfers in different states. And every state she goes, she learned the language of that soil. So Goa येतकीच तिका कोंकणी शिकन दिसलें. She approached Madhavi Sardesai, who was teaching in the university, and Madhavi took upon herself the task and she taught her so well that within a month or two, she picked up Konkani, enough to converse. एक दीस नुस्त्या बाजारांत गेल्ले कडेन तिणें नुस्त्याची आगो बांगडी कशी दिल्या तूं विचारलें. So the fisher lady, she answered her. She said 150 rupees for this. Then she asked another question in Konkani, and she was irritated. She shouted back. She said, "Why are you talking to me in English? Do you think I don't understand English?" This is the psychology of common people. Why it has happened? We have to think of it twice. Well, it is true that a good knowledge of English helps to learn the fast advancing technology. However, we need to know that the same technology is meant to help us improve our command over our language. हांगा म्हाका तुमकां सांगपाचें आशिल्लें पण I will skip it because it will take longer time. I had an experience with an organization called UNL, Universal Networking Language, was a project undertaken by UNESCO under the leadership of none other than Umberto Eco, the great writer and philosopher. Unfortunately, I will not delve into it because of scarcity of time. The linguistic diversity is the result of territorial diversity. Then you may ask, why do we adopt bilinguality or multilinguality? That is because multilinguality is the extension of nature's diversity. Because by nature we are adventurous people, by opting for multilinguality, we complement to nature's diverse character. This is very, very important factor. People think you are a proponent of Konkani, why do you then speak in English and other languages? That is because we complement the nature's diversity, nature's diverse character by adopting other languages also. Of course, not at the expense of our mother tongue. This is more important. The Indian writers write in many languages, yet we say the Indian literature is one. Our the President of India, then Radhakrishnan, had said it, and I believe it's true. Unity in diversity is a Nehruvian phrase. Goa's legendary polymath Professor D.D. Kosambi has endorsed this expression also. As an Indian author, Indian writer, writing in Konkani, I love this diversity. Literatures of various languages have enriched my worldview. My knowledge of English, Marathi, Hindi, and working knowledge of Portuguese and Gujarati has helped me upgrade my writing skills and also augment Konkani idiom. The overemphasis on tourism and wrong implementation of education policies are adding to our woes. The only English or the only Hindi bogey is not only driving us away from multilingualism, but also fosters unhealthy monolingualism that may push Konkani to the margins. And of course, other languages will follow suit. I strongly believe that loss of a language is loss of a culture. Yes, I uphold multilingualism. It is in the blood of every Goan. But Konkani is the heart of Goa that purifies blood and keeps us healthy and sound. That's what my belief is. There is a solution to every problem. Whereas, well, I don't know whether you realize that I look upon this as a problem, but there is a solution to every problem because I'm an optimistic by nature. But the urge has to come from within. When an egg is broken by an outside force, a life comes to an end. But when it is broken from a force within, a new life begins. So why not make a new beginning and tackle these delicate issues successfully? I'm afraid Goa, that is known for an exemplary harmony among different communities, is gradually changing its colors. If we do not take timely measures, the brewing disgust can lead to revulsion, dragging languages into communal and even religious controversy, which is also already has started happening. Such a situation can lead to death of the spirit of Mile Sur Tera Hamara, Mera Tumhara. Thank you.
Dev Barikuru, Damodar Bhav. Right? I believe it's time now to release our annual magazine, which is now taken a book form, edited by our life member, where is he, Vivek Menezes. So I would like to invite Bhai and our chairperson. And let me introduce Dr. Jorson Fernandez, who was the first chairman of the Goa Heritage Action Group. So history has indeed repeated itself here in Kampal. He's our chairman once again. So Dr. Jorson and Bhai, Preeta Sardesai, and our designer Rukmini Goha Thakurda. I invite you to release Parmal and then